Hi, I'm Patu from freefincal. We have a tendency to blame the government for paying too much tax or for not getting enough services and so on. Well, can you run your household if your expenses are 77% more than your income? And I think before we blame the government for too much tax or tax on this, tax on that, and there are many government employees who want the new pension scheme removed and the old pension scheme brought back. We had already talked about how that's not possible. We must understand what the real problem is and why we should not crib so much and understand what the government is trying to do. Although we may not be the direct, it almost always looks like we are not the direct recipient of the government's actions, but that is not really true. We have to sit and think a lot more deeper about it. Of course, I'm going to get a lot of extreme reactions to this post. Many people are going to disagree with me. I honestly don't care. These are the numbers. So the government releases the monthly accounts. That is, it tells you how much it has spent, how much it has earned revenue up to a certain month in the financial year, and that these are the numbers for October 2019. I am not an expert at all in these numbers. I don't exactly fully understand what each accounting head is for. I have asked a tax expert or a subject expert to write a detailed post on this. We will wait for that, but basic essential understandings can be easily obtained. So I have taken these numbers and put it onto an Excel file, and we can understand so that we can understand it better. So the total receipts of the government up to October 2019 for the current financial year is 9,34,460 crore rupees. All the numbers here are in crores, and out of this amount, 73% is tax revenue, 24% is non-tax revenue, 1% is recovery of loans, 2% is disinvestment proceeds, and from this amount, 39% the government has given to the state governments. They've handed, that's like almost like a share of the share of the earnings to the state governments for their own use, so on. Now the problem is the total expenditure incurred up to this month in the financial year is 16 lakhs 54,905 crores. This is 1.77 times the total receipts, or 77% more than the total receipts. This is extraordinarily high, and out of this, about 2 lakhs or so goes to the capital account, and the rest goes to the revenue account, and from that 20% is interest payments for small saving schemes and other bonds, etc., and so on, and the subsidies is 16%. Of course, you may argue that the subsidies is small and so on, but the problem is the government borrowing is very high too. That interest payment is pretty high. I'm not an economist, but I'm fairly sure that I've seen enough economists talk about both subsidies being high and government borrowings being high, and this is just uh, this total expenditure is just too much, and that is the reason why the government is needs our taxes. I mean, I'm not going to sit and talk about how to handle this, how to change this problem, and so on. But definitely, uh, subsidies have to go gradually, and they are going. It will take some more time, but clearly there's a lot of politics involved. The interest payments have to go. EPF, the interest rate on the EPF is extraordinarily high compared to the actual bond yields. There's no real correlation there. PPF also the same case. Senior citizen scheme also the same case. It's just too much. We can't. I mean, the problem is this entitlement has to go. The government should give me these benefits. No, why should it? Why should it? That mentality has nice that the taxes that we pay is important, and we must be well. To I mean, I may sound naive, but I think it's important to be proud that we are paying taxes. There can be no two thoughts about it. Taxes are essential. Maybe what Professor Subramania Swamy has been saying: have a transaction fee, attach a transaction fee to every banking transaction. Then you will make a lot more money than this income tax. You can just get rid of it. You can lower GST, etc. Maybe that's a very good opinion as opinion goes. But I don't know. I'm not a economists to argue against that if there are any cons to that and why the government doesn't do it. That would be a game changer as it is. But this is the situation as it is. I mean, forget about solutions and so on. I don't think this is the forum for it. We can, but we can't crib too much. The government doesn't have much money to play with, and it's just doing what it can. This has got nothing to do with the current government, past government, and so on. This has always been the case. Thankfully, the gradually it's coming down. The fiscal deficit is coming down. The interest payments are gradually coming down, but it's still not fast enough. There's a lot more to do, and I mean, I don't see what else we can do but support the government with our taxes. Well, we can crib, but it doesn't matter whether we crib or unhappy or be sad about it. We have to, as long as we follow the rules, I think it's pretty fine enough. So that's how it is. Will you be able to run your family if you have this much debt, or if you had this kind of situation? Is the question we need to ask. And the government is in a way running a family. And if you think of the government as a business, the business will fold. And what kind of I had also written a post on what kind of credit rating would the government have? Terrible, right? I mean, this kind of a problem. So we have serious problems, and we need to play a role as citizens. So naive as that sounds, that's the truth in my opinion. Bye bye.